What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today I've got a video of the MSI Modern computer, which I believe is a really good medium of a computer that has great power as well as great portability, and it also has the latest 11th gen processors from Intel. And the best part is that it comes in at a price point that, for its power, I believe is very reasonable at around $1,000 and even under, as I've seen it on sale. And a huge thanks to MSI for sponsoring this video. So, MSI is a company that has been making good computers for quite a while, and I know quite a few creators in the tech industry have used MSI generation after generation for their video editing in Premiere Pro. And after having some time with this computer, I feel like the reason why is because it is relatively portable, has good ventilation, has all the features in I/O that you need, and it's also just like a very low-key computer that gets the job done, has all the main features, and doesn't try to get too fancy in terms of adding a whole bunch of things that you're not going to use, but focus on the fundamentals and do it very well at the right price. So the model that I have right here has the following specs: the i7 11th gen processor from Intel, which is brand new, as well as a full HD IPS display that is 15.6 inches and pretty much goes edge to edge. It also has great thermals and ventilation, as you can see on the back here. It is also equipped with 16 gigs of RAM as well as a 512 gig SSD. And when it comes to I/O, the biggest thing is Thunderbolt 4, which gives you 40 gigabits per second of transfer speed. So if you guys want to plug in a hard drive and do video editing off of that, you can really take advantage of that maximum speed. And there is also regular USB 3 ports, which are nice for plugging in like a mouse or keyboard. But if you want to use it as a desktop setup, it also has an HDMI port that is a full-size one on this side as well. So that is all nice to see. So beginning with form factor and build quality, this computer overall feels very light for its size. At first, I even thought it was made out of plastic, but it was actually made out of aluminum, and it does have a military grade level of durability. From the front, it is just like a super minimal computer. There really isn't anything crazy in terms of the design. It is just a smooth finish to it, and I think this gray color right here looks really good. The MSI logo is also nice and minimal. It isn't like loud or crazy that some other companies seem to do. So the computer overall is relatively thin, but it isn't thin to the point where the thermals are going to struggle, because when it comes to performance, you kind of have to find that medium between something that looks good and is easy to take around, but also delivers the most performance that you can get out of the processor that is inside. On the back here, you have some of your fan cutouts and the venting, and as you can see, the channels and everything do kind of direct the air outside of the computer. The design is overall very minimalistic, and the color that I have here is a nice neutral medium that is super clean. On the inside of the computer though, the minimalist design kind of travels over here as well. And if you take a look at this like keyboard layout right here, the keys are the exact same color as the body of the computer, and it just all kind of blends in and looks very minimal. But one thing that I definitely notice is that the keys are super nice to type on. It has a 1.3mm level of key travel, and the backlight is pretty powerful. I've tried a few computers this year, and the backlight was either like not that bright, which I know isn't a huge deal, but I noticed the keyboard especially was a nice standout feature of the MSI Modern. The other thing is the trackpad, and even though it is a decent trackpad, I do feel like for a computer of this size, they definitely could have made the trackpad a little bit bigger and maybe a bit better to use. I've definitely tried better out in the market, and if you really want a larger trackpad, MSI's Prestige model that we're going to check out in a future video does have a larger trackpad. But overall, I would say the trackpad is good enough and it gets the job done. The keyboard is great, but I would probably use a mouse with this computer. As for the display, it is a 15.6 inch IPS panel that is a full HD resolution, and when it comes to video editing and photo editing or any like content creator, the screen is going to be a very important part. And I feel like a 14 or 15 inch computer is a really good form factor, and it is available in both sizes. And thanks to the bezel being nice and small, I would say they're both very portable. And in terms of display quality, I will say it is relatively solid, but for the price point, you're really getting a good level of performance, and the display is not like an OLED panel, 4K, or any crazy refresh rate that you can expect from a higher price model. So when it comes to processing power of this computer, this is part of the lineup of computers that have recently come out that feature the 11th generation processor from Intel. And in terms of just like raw benchmark, it is actually 1.5 times faster than the previous generation in this i7 model, and it also gives you up to 4.7 gigahertz in dual core turbo. This 11th gen i7 model right here also has the Iris Xe graphics, and it's paired with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig NVMe SSD. And I feel like for like most creators out there who are doing 1080p video editing in Premiere Pro or doing photo editing, the performance of this computer and its portability is going to be a very popular option at under $1,000. If you really need to push the power though, you can also get the NVIDIA GeForce MX 450 as an add-on option for this computer. So generally speaking, I would say that for the price point that the computer is at, it is a relatively good value in terms of the performance. They've done a good job in the thermals and everything, but it's nice that they have options that allow you to upgrade the graphics even more if you need it. On the audio side of things, this computer has high-res audio, which means a 24-bit 192 kilohertz preamp in the 3.5mm headphone jack. So if you want to plug in a pair of headphones and listen to music, it is an area that not many computers have focused on at all, seemingly in the last couple of years. And I feel like that is a nice touch because some people really do care about their audio. And if you have it in like a desktop setup especially, that is going to be really nice. But for the built-in speakers of the computer itself, they are 2 watts. Digging deeper into the I/O though, most of them are over on one side. You have your power, the full-size HDMI, your Thunderbolt 4, which by the way is 4 gigabits per second in terms of transfer speed. So if you want to plug in your SSD and edit your video, that is going to be awesome. But it also does serve as a charge port, which is really nice because nowadays I feel like a lot of people will have a lot of USB-C cables laying around because that does seem to be the future. And you also have a standard HDMI port and that 3.5mm headphone jack, which is great to see. But on the other side, you also have 2 more USB 3 ports, which is still nice to have because a lot of hard drives and stuff still use that. And you also have a micro SD card slot to expand your storage. Personally, I still find that like maybe 30 to 40% of the products that I have still use a standard USB port. So I like that some companies like MSI haven't completely ruled that out and at least included it where they could, in addition to the futuristic technology of Thunderbolt 4. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the MSI Modern 14? And I feel like in a lot of categories, they've done a really good job. And when it comes to the price point that it is offered at of under $1,000, I think for a lot of creators out there who are editing in 1080p or doing photo editing are going to find this experience pretty good in terms of the power that you're going to need at the cost. The i7 processor is super powerful. The built-in graphics are an improvement, but if you need more graphics, you can also add the NVIDIA option. And there's also 16 gigs of RAM, which is plenty for administrative tasks and some production, and also 512 gigs of NVMe, which I also feel like is going to be enough for most people. If you need some more storage though to store just general data and documents, then you can go ahead and use that SD card slot, which is always a nice option to have in terms of expandability. But I feel like the hardware side of things, they've done an excellent job in some areas, and in others, it could be a little bit better. So build quality, I give it top score. It is very well put together, it is super light, and it comes in at a weight of 1.6 kilograms, which is really nice, but whenever there's portability, you always have to wonder if it compromises any of the performance, and in this case, they have done a pretty good job in thermals as well. And I just feel like the aluminum build and everything just comes together. It looks great, it feels great, but some areas that I feel like this computer could definitely be better in is the trackpad. It does feel a little bit soft and mushy, but the keyboard is excellent. The display is also relatively solid, which is really nice. And I also like that they've offered it in a 14 and 15 inch option because I would say that 14 inches is kind of my sweet spot for a computer size. For those who may not necessarily need a ton of power though, they also still have the 10th generation that comes in at a lower price point. So it's just nice that you have a few options to choose from. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.